Welcome to NHK World Direct Talk, interviews with leaders, visionaries, and pioneers who are shaping Asia and the rest of the world. Today we talk with Dr. Eiko Ikegami, a professor of sociology who teaches at the New School for Social Research in New York City. Ikegami has been researching and studying people's experiences on the internet. People from around the world enter and participate in this virtual world where they can find tips and clues to enlarge and enrich actual society. A key component to the virtual world, she says, is diversity. We ask Eiko Ikegami about what she has discovered in her studies and why the diverse internet is essential for creating a better real world.
Sometimes actually the diversity is important is almost like a cliche. In ecology, it is said that diversity in species are very important for evolution. But in society itself, I feel that there are various different ways of thinking, behavior, characteristics. And then because of that, it's not simply the efficacy of evolution, because evolution cannot be programmed. You never know what would happen. But appreciating the diversity and neurodiversity is probably good for the society at large.
Eiko Ikegami teaches sociology at the New School for Social Research in New York City. For 10 years, she has been studying virtual world communities formed on the internet. Participants create alter ego-like personal avatars that can independently explore this virtual world. Avatars can go to concerts, have meetings, or engage in a variety of events and activities that are open to everyone. You can interact and communicate with other avatars from all over the globe in real time, making you feel like you're living a second life in an alternate world. Ikegami's interest in the virtual world was sparked by a small personal observation.
I was less interested at the beginning, but I found my physicist husband, who never actually cared so much about the fashion or the appearances, try out this virtual world once. And then so actually he began to buy, so-called buy, for his own avatar, different outfit. And that was interesting because he developed that second self in virtual world. So I began to be interested as a sociologist, what's the society of avatars? So I turned myself as avatars. I would say my viewpoint and words are in a way enlarged, because I began to see the totally different kind of people, and they have the avatars are coming from all over the world. And also some of them began to develop the second self or multiple selves and experiment a different way of life. That was kind of utopian, but it is a place for experiments.
Ikegami then discovered that people with autistic spectrum disorder were particularly active in this virtual world. Autistic spectrum disorder, or ASD, is a condition related to brain development that impacts communication skills and how a person perceives and socializes with others. One participant with ASD is Larry, whose virtual world avatar is a charismatic DJ. Ikegami was surprised at how outgoing Larry was in the virtual world. From her observations, she learned that individuals with ASD have rich interior lives and deep feelings. Curious about Larry's real life, she arranged to meet him.
Hello.
Larry?
Yep.
It's Eiko. So nice to see you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I met Larry in Wyoming. He is so impressive. In Second Life in Virtual World, he is a charismatic DJ. He actually composed a music called trance music. And also he has tremendous, impressive 3D arts that model after his internal world, autistic subjective views, his visionary world. And all things considered, he is really talented person. But in real life in Jackson, Wyoming, he's been working for the 18 years as a supermarket clerk, and he does have a very regular and disciplined life. He's just a talented person. But in real life, he has so many challenges in maintaining the jobs and doing the jobs. So that was very impressive. I do not know what Larry or other people, like autistic individuals I become friends, might be contributing to society in a practical sense or not. But their world, seeing the world, some commonalities, or some resonance with all these crazy but greatly talented people. Even though they cannot communicate, some autistic people cannot talk, but their internal world sometimes is very rich and very intelligent. Not everybody would be measurably intelligent if we sort of impose a standardized test. But in a various way, I really appreciate their different ways of experiences and different diverse intelligences.
Society is beginning to see autistic spectrum disorder from a new perspective. Rather than label it as a disorder that needs to be diagnosed or treated, through research like Ikegami's, ASD is now understood to be simply a neurodiversity.
So then I began to be interested in concept of neurodiversity, the people with autism, and then with different way of seeing the world. Our humans' neurostructures are so different to each other, but we really should appreciate that deeply. And by doing that, ultimately, it actually highlights my ignorance and something that to find out myself. I myself probably somewhere on the spectrum. So everybody is somewhere on the spectrum in that sense. Neurological characteristic is different for everybody. And it's studying the others, it's studying the other spectrum. And that always the finding myself and very enriching experience for me. It makes me realize how my perception is limited in various ways. And I probably become more tolerant to many other things that I thought it's deviant. And in a strange way, that make me, for example, being more tolerant to our friends, family members, my husband perhaps. So that probably make me a slightly better person.
With rapid advancements in technology alongside constant societal changes, Ikegami stresses the need for the real world to accept neurodiversity.
I feel the 20th century has been the century of our understanding, development of our understanding about the diversity in general. The first, it comes with the understanding of the race and the civil rights movements. And then it comes to the feminism that, of course, brings the issues of gender and women's empowerment. And then it's come to the wave of the sexual diversities. So the 20th century has a wave of the diversities, understanding the diversities. But now, in the 21st century, we are now facing with the age of artificial intelligence. Soon, with the current speed of the development of artificial intelligence exponentially, it's quite soon our everyday life. We have to shake hands or understand, affect our perception through the uses of artificial intelligence in everyday life. But before getting into the full-blown stage of the age of artificial intelligence, why not appreciating different ways of understanding the world? Our human intelligences has different various patterns, and each has their own merits and strengths. And why do we appreciate and respect the diverse intelligences?
We asked Eiko Ikegami to sum up her principal discovery.
Appreciating neurodiversity. Doing my research, I certainly developed more appreciation of neurodiversity. We are so different neurologically, and appreciating and celebrating that diversity is most important.